Hey gang, it's Dave Littlejohn. Welcome back to the stuff about money they don't teach in school. I'm going to do something unusual today. I'm going to say something about lawyer stuff. What we're about to cover today is absolutely real. I'm going to try to make it fun, but some of it's not going to be entirely realistic. You'll recognize what it is. The key here is none of this is considered individual investment advice. I have to say this because if my game is money, and I am an investment professional, and I go out and start to make anything that sounds like advice on air, that can be dangerous. So it is not individual advice. This is information about how it works. Take it as such, and let's get into the fun. All right. So folks ask me, and I want to tell them, how can I become a millionaire? Right? I want to know, how can I do this? And I have got some really great ideas for you. First, how can you become a millionaire? Have rich parents. Yes, that is a really good way to do it. Have rich parents, and then someday, if they're gone, they give you the stuff, right? The trick is make sure that they give you the stuff, right? If they give it to somebody else, then your rich parents really weren't that useful to you. So there you go. So you probably need to be nice to your parents. Next, have a rich uncle. Okay, if you don't have rich parents, have rich relatives, and then make sure there's no heirs in between you and them. Or we could do this one. How about marry someone rich? Ah, yes, this is the Britney Spears theory, I believe. So skip the prenuptial agreement, and then you can either get a divorce shortly thereafter and take a bunch of their stuff, or you can stay married to them because hopefully you really like them, and just don't get written out of the will or anything like that. Or, here's another one, right? Well, how about win the lottery? That's a way to become a millionaire, right? So win the lottery. I guess I need to note, they say it everywhere. They're not to be played for investment purposes. And let's get real. The odds are not in our favor. So what else could we do? Win a lawsuit, right? You could figure out and maybe spill coffee on your lap or something like that. There's a few grown-ups out there that are going, I know what he's talking about. Or we could get serious, right? How about a famous pet? Maybe I understand that Grumpy Cat is no longer in the picture, so maybe you can get a new Grumpy Cat or something and become famous on the internet. But I think that there might be some real life advice here. The crazy thing is, people will watch this and they will say, I wanted something special. I wanted the trick, the secret. Well, here it is. There's some math, and it's not even that hard. And I'm going to show you the way that anybody can become a millionaire, and really on any budget. So we're going to show you how to do the math and how to figure it out. And once you understand this, I think it is within your grasp. And I genuinely mean anybody can do this, provided that you have the right elements in place. Okay? So what do we need to know? Well, remember, there's an interest. The earning interest on your money is a key component to having investments work. So we have a compound interest formula, and I'm not going to quiz you on how to make it work. Okay? There are lots of internet videos that talk about that. What I'm going to tell you is you need to know three things. You need to know your rate of return on your investments, how long you have, and how much savings you can afford to put away, and how often. Okay? It turns out if your budget is $1 a year, you can become a millionaire. It's just going to take way longer than your lifetime to get there. Okay? So the can and the will, right? I can do something, but realistically, will it happen? There's the realistic part. So let's get into this and look at some examples. And what I'm going to do is jump out of this screen, whoops, and we see I jumped way far away. And I want to go right here. This is a calculator that's available. You can go to our webpage. I'm not trying to peddle anything, but if you go to littlejohnfs.com under the tools section, there's a bunch of calculators, and one of them says, how can I save $1 million? So I'm going to show you real simply how this can work with anybody. If you have $0 to start, and you're going to save for 30 years, okay? So if you right now are, let's say you're in high school, you're 15, 16 years old, in 30 years, if you're 15, 30 years is nice, easy math, so that would be 45. You'd be 45 years old. Let's say that you can earn 10% per year, and you don't pay taxes because, let's say you put it into an IRA. So we have tax deferral. Then here's the amortization table. We'll compute that out. And what it's going to tell us is, how long does it take to get there? And the answer is, I need to save $442 a month, right? So $442 a month, and I'll have $1 million when I'm 45 years old. Now, if you're 15, you're going, how am I going to save $442 a month? I get it. That's a lot of money. But if I was 15 and I could wait until not 45, but let's say age 55, that's 10 more years, isn't it? So now we're going to talk about a 40-year investment time horizon. And what do we see when we recalculate this? Well, now we're down to $158 a month. Okay, we went from almost $450 to just over $150. The 10-year difference is massive. Now keep this in mind. I don't have a slide for this, but I'm going to explain it real quickly. We did a couple of financial shortcuts in previous videos, like the rule of 72, and we talked about compound interest. When interest earns interest on the interest that is earning interest, it picks up speed. So if you're earning 10%, your money doubles about every 7 years. Okay? And so think about what happens. If I add an extra 7 years to this, then you can bet that this number here is going to almost get cut in half. Right? So go from 158 should be somewhere around $80 if I add about 7 to this. It's going to be a little, not quite that low, but let's see what happens when I put the extra 7 years on. It was 158, right? $158 a month, and grind, calculate, and look at that, $78 a month. Now, that's not because I'm a magician, and it's not because I did the math in advance. It's because I understand some of the basic rules about how long it takes to double money. So if I can double my money every 7 years, then if I add 7 more years of time to how long I can wait, then what I did was I cut the amount I had to put away in half. So here's the trick. Let's say that we want to get to about $50 a month. Let's say I want to do $50 a month. Let's just start saying, well, how many years would I need to save? Okay? And we look at this and you're going to go, well, are we close? We are close, right? If I say 50 years at $50 a month, that's almost what it takes to get to $1 million. It's probably more like 51 or maybe 52. It's not going to take 57 years, that's for sure. So we calculate through, it grinds a little bit on screen, and look at that, $52.22. It's probably somewhere at about 50 and a half, 51.5 years, and it doesn't like that. So we'll say 52, and that's going to be more than enough. And that's earning 10%. Okay? Now, 10% is a pretty decent return currently. Certainly, you could do it in the stock market with the right investments. And historically, that's been a reasonable return. It's not 10% every year, though. Stock markets are weird, right? Some years they go up really big, some years they go down really big, but they average out over time to about that rate of return. So what if we didn't have 52 years? Well, then we could change the variable, right? So, well, I only have 40 years. I'm 25 and I want to retire at 65. So I've got 40 years. And we immediately know that that's not going to be $50 a month, right? It's going to be something different. So we're back to $158. But I would like to take, and I don't have $158. Let's say I have $100 a month. Well, then I can figure out what my rate of return is, can't I? So we could just start playing with the calculator here and say, well, what happens if we can earn 12%? And we'll do the same thing. And I'm going to turn off the amortization chart after this because we don't really care about this. So I'll just turn off the table. So we're at $85 a month now, right? 12% is 85. I don't even need to make 12%. I probably could make 11.5%. And now when we compute that out, look at that, $99.49. So there you go. 11.6 is probably enough to get us over the hurdle. I went the wrong way. We could probably do it in lower. 11.4 is 102, so 11.55. 97.94. You need to earn somewhere between 11.5 and 12%, and in 40 years you'll have $1 million, as long as you're not paying taxes as you go. So here's the thing that people miss on this, right? Folks think that it's really hard to become a millionaire. And I'm going to jump back to my slides here, and I'm just going to kind of show you some final thoughts that I had. Not only does this work, it's easy. Right? It's not hard to become a millionaire in this country. There are a couple things to consider, though. First of all, you need to set a budget, right? It definitely works, but you need a budget, and you have to be consistent. So budget's the key, and you have to stick to it. You have to have a plan for it. You need to be patient, okay? As I like to say, it's difficult to become rich overnight, but it's really easy to become rich over time. There are a couple other considerations as well. And these are not thoughts that I have on the presentation, but they're thoughts that I think everybody needs to pay attention to. One of them is taxes. Okay, taxes are going to eat away at this. So if you're not in an environment where you can grow your money without paying taxes, then it's going to take longer, and you're going to have to factor that into your calculation. The other one is purchasing power. Okay. This is a sneaky thing, right? 40 years from now, $1 million isn't going to buy as much as it does today. So sure, you can become a millionaire, but the millionaire is not, I mean, if you had $1 million back in the 1950s, that was a ton of money. Today, $1 million is decent, right? I mean, it's in a lot of people's minds, it sounds like a lot, but it's not as much as you think anymore. So it's because purchasing power changes. You know, a gallon of milk or ice cream or food and gas and houses, all those things got more expensive. I mean, if you can think back, the family farm that back in the 1900s somebody bought for $4,500, right? And today the family farm might be worth $800,000. 120 years later, it's really changed the value because of inflation. And without talking about economics or politics, you can expect inflation to occur. So $1 million will not have the same purchasing power that it does today. So you need to consider that in your calculation. But can you become a millionaire? 100%. It's within anybody's reach if you want to do it. So this is not a game like, oh, the rich get richer. It's like, nope. The smart get richer, the disciplined get richer, the consistent get richer, the ones that are willing to defer some gratification, which is a way of saying, I'll wait for the thing, I'll save a little first and then wait for it, so you don't just spend everything and never save, okay? Another way, there's ants and grasshoppers, right? The ants are the ones that are diligent workers, and they put away, the grasshoppers just, enjoy the moment. It's okay to enjoy the moments as we go, but you need to have a balance of both ants and grasshoppers. So anyway, that's it. So here's the thing. This is the end of April, and this was the final session of what I had scheduled during the COVID-19 deal. I'm surprised in some respects that we are still shut down and in many areas, but we are. And so I will continue to try to include videos and tips and things. But what I'd really like to hear is I'd like to hear from you. What are things that you would like us to cover? And we will try to make content around that. We will try to continue to think of things and bring them to you, but communicate with us, please. The info at littlejohnfs.com email goes to our team. I receive it as well as some others on the team. So we do answer emails and we do listen. So I want to be able to get those questions answered for you. And as you saw today, a couple of free tools, but if you go to our website, there are more resources at littlejohnfs.com. It's up here under the tools section, bunch of free stuff that you can play with and free calculators. So check those out as well. Don't forget, like, subscribe. Please share this with folks. Our mission, even though we are all still trying to be cautious about shelter in place or stay safe, whatever it may be, the reality is that life has not stopped. And your opportunities for being a good financial steward have not stopped. So I will encourage you, carry on. And if we can help you in any way, we're delighted to do so. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This has been the stuff about money they don't teach in school. I am your host, instructor, and hopefully a future resource. This is David Littlejohn signing off. Take care, everybody.